Thank you, Riv. Gentlemen, a very chaotic game.
Yeah.
There are lots of back and forth, power shifting throughout the game. Freak, I do want to jump right into that final team fight, though, and take a look because there was some misplay and some capitalization on both sides. So we're going to pull that up onto your screen, just kind of break that last fight down.
Yeah, so the big thing about sort of wombo combo team compositions is they're pretty feast or famine because there's nothing to really do outside of your ultimates, generally speaking, right? On the sliding scale, they're on the low end there. So if you don't land all your ultimates together, if you miss those, you don't have a lot to follow up from. Caster Graves with the Yomus with no good crit synergy, no good attack speed synergy. He's going to have lower damage output as well. And this is Teammate getting one of those famine team fights where the hard engage isn't very good or only gets one guy. Calitrolls gets caught out here. Go ahead and roll the clip out, and you're going to see, right, Teammate are kind of limping in. They're mostly here, but Calitrolls is going to get a famine ulti, right? He ults and misses. He hits impact. Like, he hits one person. Okay, they follow up on rush. That's great. But now all these big cooldowns got used on a giant tank who has a low damage threat. Suddenly, all these champions who do have important cooldowns, who can do fun things like Xiao Wei Xiao, get to go in and do all this, right? You've got just the easy chase at this point, and even if Maple Street wanted to, even if he were alive, he wouldn't be able to break down impact because Caster Graves can't do something like this. Very good mechanics, of course, by Team Impact. Impulse. Darn it. I pulled the Jat.
You did it.
Jat, I hate you so much.
Literally, during
You've
the
poisoned
game.
me.
During the game.
I was like, I've never done that. I've never said Team Impact. Canada, man.
That was awesome.
Nailed it. But the thing about that fight that's really concerning to me is Xiao Wei Xiao was off on the right, which is where they need to play that composition. Yeah. But Team 8, if they had recognized that, they could have all in and just gone in immediately. They wouldn't have had the LeBlanc threat in that fight. And then it would have just been the wombo happening. Even if you get one person in that fight that isn't Impact, you go for some other backline damage threat, then you're completely in the clear there for Team 8.
It was a good illustration, though, of what happens when you lose one element of your wombo combo.
Yeah.
The Malphite ult having been used, because we have another example, and we'll just pull this up right now. We have another replay of the wombo combo being used effectively. So, Zyrene, I'm going to let you take this one.
This is my favorite part of the day, because we've been having these games where people have 0 kills. This is a bloody game, and I absolutely love it. So, Calitrolls, he eventually gets the Command Protect on him, and he holds his ultimate for so long. Impact is basically up against him playing zone defense, just like right up in his grill, right? He's like, I'm not going to let you get into these guys. I'm not going to let you get into my backline. And then Calitrolls just goes up and diagonal over him, and that's what causes the wombo combo to happen. We're going to start rolling it out here, and the big thing here is Xiao Wei Xiao is not in this fight either. He ends up walking up right now, and as soon as he gets next to Apollo, boom, he is in range of that Orianna ultimate, and that was what would turn that fight. If they had taken just the Kog'Maw, maybe LeBlanc can deal some damage, and it's not a clean sweep of the team. But then TIP learned, keep your Xiao Wei Xiao off on the side, have him re-enter the fight later on. And that's something that teammate could have capitalized on, but it's how you play that composition that TIP made.
And there's actually one thing I want to point out about that clip. If you watch the very end of that fight, notice how slow the cleanup is, right?
Yep.
The wombo combo is great. They've got Caster Graves. He bursts people really hard. And then, well, Impact's not dead. Rush isn't quite dead. They have to land a couple auto attacks to like remove that third straggler, and like 2 people of Teammate die because, oh, by the way, our cooldowns are down. Man, our DPS sure sucks. And of course, we saw in the very first replay what happens when you don't hit anything at all, but you can instantly remove 3 people, and the fight is still close. And that is the trouble with these wombo combo combos with things like Caster Graves, is you run out of steam after about 4 seconds.
Yeah, you hope for those crits after that point. You're just
basically.
like, ugh. And
35%.
That's why you get Sunfire Cape, too.
Yeah.
Try to chip him down a little bit afterwards.
Just
Leandry's
taking
actually
them down 45 damage at a time, unless you get those Sork shoes. But Team 8, they're still afforded the opportunity to build comps like this, even after the number of top lane bans that we saw go through, because of the depth of Calitrolls' champion pool, so that he can play things like Malphite when the Gnar, just Gnar by himself, would be normally the one to jump in, throw people against a wall, and then take the Orianna ult.
Yeah, so I do like, by the way, that Malphite was a consistent engager. We've seen Dignitas struggle, for example, so hard to have these fights start, to actually engage and make things go on. Good old reliable Malphite ult, unless you flash it, gonna get some knockouts, gonna make things happen. There is something to be said for these reliable engagers. As far as you're talking about the pick and ban phase and the champion pool of someone like Calitrolls, well, the 2 bans were Aurelia and Jax, these 2 supposed one-on-one counter picks to Gnar that, of course, Impact wanted to play. And so they banned away those champions that they know Porpoise will camp for Cali Trolls 4 to get those champions ahead. So, okay, you're not removing his whole champion pool. He can play something else. But they're saying, okay, let's make sure Impact is set up to do well. He was. His individual contribution was very good. And then, look, the Wombo ever fails, Tip wins. They did.
Yeah, and something about that game that I noticed was Team 8, Cali Trolls, he used his first, 4 ultimates defensively. He was trying to escape. They kept roaming up to him, applying pressure to him. Impact, that is actually the most scared I've seen Cali Trolls in a game to date. And he's usually an extremely aggressive player, almost to a fault all the time, right? That was the most defensive I've ever seen him. He was really scared of dying. And then eventually at one point, he's like, okay, I have my Frozen Heart. I can dual Impact. And he goes up to him and he gets him down to 1/3 HP, but Xiao's there and he can't complete the kill, right? So those types of things, if he wasn't using those ults defensively and didn't have that pressure, he probably would have been able to be at the point where he could solo kill Impact. So TIP really noticing what the strength of Team 8 was and shutting that down so the game didn't get out of control.
Yeah, credit to them for their early game. Yeah. They definitely had the early game advantages. It just was that ability to turn fights with the Wombo combo that kept Team 8 in it, really. Mm-hmm. So, again, let's, microscoping in on TIP now. Definitely a huge victory for them with their roster now together. You saw the relief on Impact's face at the end of that game. Just like, okay, we're here. We're at the NALCS. We've got a win under our belts. I hope to see them, kind of take this and refine it so that they don't have to scrap these wins together.
Right. So here's the interesting thing is, so as far as scrapping wins together, keep in mind we shouldn't underestimate Team 8 too heavily. They beat TSM. This is a good team. This is a good win for these guys. You can't say, oh, it was one of the challenger squads. How dare you have a close game against these guys? Team 8 have a pretty good pedigree right now. Mm-hmm. That said, yes, TIP have a lot of refining to do. Keep in mind, Rush is still going full solo queue. He was at 1/3 health, was like, maybe I could pick off Cali Trolls, and dies and gives up the dragon for it, right? These things are still happening. This Rush, try not to live up your name so much. Maybe slow down to a jog at some point here because you're going a little bit too hard by yourself. Those habits still exist, but we saw Impact win a straight up one-on-one. Okay, he got more help and pushed even farther, but he won as one-on-one. Their bot lane still performing well. You're facing a Wombo combo, and Cog died, I think, only twice all game. Props to Apollo for that, right? These guys are actually all, for the most part, pulling their individual weight. They're getting over aggressive. They've got to polish that, but the elements are here for them.
Yeah, and Xiao is still Xiao.
Right.
I was actually really impressed with their bottom.
He was more Xiao than he was in the previous 3 games of the yes. I think so. Than he was in the previous week.
Yeah,
right? He was more confident in being able to roam outside of his own lane.
I think a lot of that is he was on a playmaking mid laner this time.
He's been on LeBlanc before.
Yeah, he's done it before. He just got.
But he had, he played it for the solo queue portion before, but now he has a team that's more team oriented too, and which has always kind of been his thing, right? Is he needs a team to support what he does. He's a playmaker, but he needs people that are going to back him up or start the fight for him before he jumps in. He's always kind of the second person in on things, right? He was a big Yasuo player where it's all right, coming in second, right?
You literally have to follow.
Well,
exactly.
And that's where I want to point to Adrian, because he roamed mid on Nami. He had huge contribution to getting Xiao in the position where he was comfortable making those solo plays to help out the rest of the team.
And it's something we're seeing so very much. We were actually joking. We were thinking, who's going to be in the OP5? And I was like, I think the OP mid laner should be Lustboy because he's having more impact mid lane than most of the other mid laners here. And it's so good to see these guys roam out. And of course, yes, good play by Adrian. We're seeing it, I think, more and more this season. The support's roaming out of lane to make these plays, to get those solo lanes ahead. In the specific instance of this first blood kill, or the second blood kill, it was, okay, chains landed, wait for the root, then bubble, okay, it's free, right? Mechanically pretty smart there, but yes, I think we're going to see this more often. Good by Adrian to do it, but it's going to be commonplace.
Yeah.
Definitely an exciting match. Very chaotic, but fun to watch. Don't touch that mouse. Coast are preparing to battle it out with Gravity in our 5th match of the day. We'll be right back after this.
We're going to be jumping into our next match. That's Team Impulse versus Team 8. Keeps himself safe. Porpoise is taking quite a bit of damage. Dodo comes in for the ultimate to disengage and let the team reassess the fight. Flies in. That was Gnar wearing off as well, so he just got what he needed in the ultimate. Where's the shockwave? It's only one person. There it is. The 4-man Wombo combo. That's all they were looking for all game. Can they seal the deal? This time, it's the double kill. No. And Xiao absolutely pops 2 members of Team 8. Impulse showing a completely different team here. They are able to take down Team 8.